Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should kick off as we've got a busy afternoon, a busy 2 days ahead, in fact. Let me just say, welcome indeed to this TradeWinds Ship Recycling Forum back here again in Singapore after about six years. It's a great pleasure to be here because this event, as everyone can see, is about much more than what happens up here on the panel, the sort of the top level discussion of serious matters of import. It's about the networking and the meetings and the deals, in fact, that are done outside this room. And I hope that you find it successful, interesting and stimulating over the next 2 days, and that I'll be reading in broker reports in the next couple of weeks of interesting deals that are done round the back. Now, a few quick points to kick off. Housekeeping issues. There are no emergencies planned this afternoon, so if you do hear an alarm, it's a real alarm, and you'll see there are more exits around this room than anybody needs, but they are there, and then follow instructions from the hotel staff. Secondly, we do have an app which has all the background data for the event, and you can download this, I hope, from here. If you can scan that, it should be on the back of the card as well, and you can log into it using the email that you registered and the code word, which is also on the password, which is also on the back there. You see details of all the speakers, contact details of other delegates, as well as the opportunity to ask questions. And just one note on the dinner this evening. It's in this hotel in the Sky Loft, and the lift up to the 71st floor is in the main lobby, not in the sort of half lobby, as it were, and it's from 6:30. And a last point, I would just like to thank all our sponsors who you see featured here. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to put on this event, so a sincere thank you indeed to them. And on that note, I would just like to hand the platform over to our principal sponsor today, and Kia Dave, the CFO of Verana Corporation. Kia.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all the attendees. On behalf of Verana Shipping Corporation, it's my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all to the TradeWinds Ship Recycling Forum 2023. Many of you are familiar faces with whom we have engaged for many years, in some cases decades. We also hope to meet some new friends this time. What else can we say? It's great to be back as principal sponsors for the Ship Recycling Forum, along with TradeWinds. Next, I'd like to thank all the speakers for joining the forum to share their expert views and observations on the respective subject matters which makes this conference so special. I'd also like to thank all the participants and stakeholders of the industry who have taken time out for this conference to share their thoughts on the various issues relevant to ship recycling. Lastly, I'll also like to thank TradeWinds for organizing the Ship Recycling Forum this year, and in fact every year, which gives all stakeholders a platform to share the knowledge about the industry matters. It has been the premier ship recycling event for a very long time, we all know. Verana has been very active participant in the ship recycling industry for 4 decades now. I'll get some bragging rights, and you can probably see on our standee outside that we have just completed 40 years. And Verana continues to play a very important role to further the development of the ship recycling industry, especially responsible ship recycling. And this conference promises to be very exciting and engaging, and has a special importance because it is the first conference after all the conditions of the HKC have been met, basis which HKC will be the first global ship recycling regulation that will come into force in June 2025. Over these 2 days, we'll see discussions on HKC as well as other topics of interest. And I'd read a quote which said that no one ever complains about a speech being too short. So without further ado, let's get on with the conference. I wish you 2 days of great interaction, learning, and thought sharing. Welcome once again. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Keo, and thank you to Roran again. And I think you almost deserve 3 cheers, actually, for that short speech. But yes, thank you indeed. Now, I'd just like to kick off with 2 points of very, very good news for you all. The first one, this is a shipping conference that is not going to be dominated by the dread word decarbonisation. Any of you who've been attending shipping conferences probably the last 3, going on 4 years now, decarbonisation has been an issue, rightly so, for so many reasons that have sort of sucked the air out of the room for all other issues because it's so central, so existential to our future survival on this planet, let alone the shipping industry. However, this is a conference that is more about practical matters in the recycling business, of which the second piece of good news is the ratification this summer, as you'll all be aware, of the Hong Kong Convention after the signing by Bangladesh and Liberia. And I was just, when I was preparing for this conference, a thought struck me that who is actually aware of the detail of the Hong Kong Convention? Can I ask, hands up in this room, who has heard of the Hong Kong Convention? I hope everyone. Who has read the Hong Kong Convention? Okay, everyone who hasn't, thank you. That's not a bad turnout, I say. Everyone who hasn't, I suggest, when you go back to your room this evening, you find it on Google and download it and have a read through, because it's very, very telling. It's only 49 pages, 49 quite dense pages, of which the last 18 or so are annexes of details and various certificates. And in fact, there are only 6 pages that specifically refer to yards themselves. Much of it is about the ship, for instance, and much of the language, frankly, is rather woolly and rather vague, which will no doubt leave the lawyers in future years with the opportunity to ride coach and horses through some of the terms. But we'll come on to those legal discussions later in this conference. But as I say, 2 very good elements of 2 pieces of good news. I think Bangladesh deserves particular credit in this because they were a country that was 7 to 10 years ago very reticent about whether it could really join this party. And this conference has always stressed the opportunity for yards, for countries no less, to build more modern industries that will employ people in more sophisticated jobs, safer jobs, that can be a credit to their countries. And it's a great credit to Bangladesh and the countries, most notably Japan and Norway, who've supported them in that process. It was interesting, I read recently that Mohammed Rashid of Bangladesh's Ministry of Industries was actually acknowledged that shipbreaking had created a bad reputation for the country. And it had ratified it as it had felt that it had a historic responsibility to change and improve the industry, protect lives, the environment, and actually build a better future. And I must say, I think many of us in this room, and many people outside this room, will hope that Pakistan follows India and particularly Bangladesh's lead and can step up and work to improve its infrastructure so it can ratify the convention in due course. And I trust those in this room are in a position to do so, will support Pakistan in that journey. Despite the achievement of this ratification, I think we must face up to realities, though, and I, as a journalist, do face up to these realities, and frankly, it can make uncomfortable reading for some people in this room on occasions. 16 years from signing to entry into force is frankly too long. I don't care what Nikos Michaelis says, it is too long, and it shows a breakdown in the system. and there's a lesson that international governance needs to do better. There are, of course, significant legal contradictions in the various overlapping elements of international law. We have the Hong Kong Convention now coming into force. We have the Basel Convention. We have the Basel Ban Amendment. We have the EU ship recycling regulation, as well as the EU waste shipment regulation. All have inconsistencies between the regimes, uncertainties over their reach, and incomplete national laws, meaning that it's potentially a legal minefield. And as I said, we will hear more about that tomorrow. A further reality check remains that it is a potentially dangerous and dirty business. The recent Human Rights Watch and NGO ship-breaking report, Trading Lives for Profit, was a very timely reminder of that. And I challenge anyone to read that and not be reminded of the distance the shipbreaking and the shipping industry still needs to travel. Nevertheless, returning to the theme of good news, the Hong Kong Convention-inspired achievements are already being seen. And the Industrial Union, which represents workers in the shipbreaking and shipbuilding industries, acknowledges the ratification as a major step forward. But it must be backed up with a social dialogue between labour and industry to ensure that there's a just transition through this process. Just transition, I hear you say to yourself. That brings me back to where I came in, decarbonisation. It is, I regret to say, the pivotal issue for shipping, for the world, in fact, for the next 30 years. It will drive these recycling markets as the impact of environmental laws on the active ships hits the provision of ships and the cost of shipping. We'll hear later about the impacts on the tanker and container markets, particularly in the next few years, with anticipated high levels of ships to be scrapped. But to kick off this afternoon, we're going to hear the recycler's perspective. And to start off, we've got 4 market updates getting ready for 2025. We have regional updates from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Turkey. Each one should be about 10 to 12 minutes long, I trust, and bring us up to speed with what is going on. So to kick us off this afternoon, could I invite Dimitri Avatoglu, the Head Business Development and External Affairs at the Lail Group, to the podium. Dimitri. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, for the kind introduction. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here again with you. I've been given the opportunity and the honor by TradeWinds to give you an update on how Turkey ship recycling evolved or experienced during the past year. So we are talking about 2023. So 2023 has been, in general, overall, a very difficult year for ship recycling. Volumes of ships, both in numbers as well as in lightweight and gross ton figures, has been at historical level lows. Looking back to the early 2000s, when we had the previous boom of the shipping charter markets, only then we see levels as low as we have seen today. So numerous yards around the world, including Turkey, having no ships for recycling for a prolonged period of time. If you want to look at specific numbers for Turkey, we have so far received 46 ships for recycling, which is just above 200,000 lightweight tons, close to 400,000 gross tons. This is by a factor of 4 below our normal year. So you can understand that things have been very slow, and it's not in a rosy environment that this is happening. We are in an environment of rising interest rates or high interest rates, economic slowdown. So our activities are taking place in a quite challenging environment. in general, as ship recyclers, we are price takers. So we see where the price of scrap steel is, and we offer accordingly a price for a ship to be recycled at our facility. And when you are seeing overall economic conditions deteriorating, you are seeing lower scrap prices in the future. So we are not optimistic about how competitive we'll be in offering good prices to the ship owners. And to exaggerate this impact is the fact that China has so far not reduced its steel production. So China is exporting a lot of steel, which is putting pressure on steel prices around the world, hence pressure on scrap prices for ourselves. We'll look at those factors in a bit more detail in the following slides. I have 5 slides in total. On the regulatory front, Turkey was the first country to ratify the Hong Kong Convention back in 2009, and since then the government has been preparing a new regulation. I think the feeling we get from talking with the authorities is the split that the Turkish regulatory authorities have between Hong Kong Convention and EU ship recycling regulation. So exactly where the new regulation will land is still unclear, but it will be Hong Kong Convention plus, incorporating some elements also from the EU ship recycling regulation. Turkey, by design, I would say, has the added benefit of being an OECD country. So in that sense, the Basel ban amendment has been a good thing for Turkey, because ships that fall under this legal framework, including the EU waste shipment regulation, are limited with regards to their options, with Turkey being the most, let's say, suitable option from a price perspective as well as a regulatory perspective. So in that sense, Turkey is very well placed. Let's look at the numbers in a bit more detail. So starting with the COVID years, we had an uptick in the number of ships as well as the tonnage of ships that were coming for recycling, both from the cruise industry sector as well as from the offshore sector. As prices of oil went down, we got a lot of platforms, tankers, etc., etc. But then there was a sudden reversal of charter markets, both on the tanker side, container side, as well as on the bulker side. So suddenly the ships that were coming to us dried up. Hence the situation we're facing here, and you can see the last column is actually the projection of figures for Turkey for 2023, and that will be an all-time low for Turkey if that materializes. In particular, the first half of the year has been dreadful. We are now starting to slowly see container ships mainly give us some hope, with a number of such units having already arrived, and also a number of units being discussed as coming up during the first quarter of 2024. And I think that's the hope in the market in general, that container ships will save the day. Looking at the prospects for next year, apart from container ships, we also have the IMO emissions regulations that have come into force. So CII is something that will probably drive a number of bulk carriers out of the market and do a little bit of reshuffling. So we are expecting also bulk carriers to add to the mix of ships that will be offered for recycling the next 1 or 2 years. However, on the tanker side, unless the dark fleet suddenly starts to dissolve and those ships go for recycling, we don't expect we will be seeing much of tankers, as also the order book for tankers is quite low compared to the rest of the ships. But so when you look at economics in general, we are in a point in time where high interest rates will drive economic, will put a halt in economic growth and slow things down. And that has an impact on both ends of the equation. So the expectation is that eventually, for a number of reasons, including economic reasons, we will see more ships being offered for recycling. But at the same time, we expect also that the price of scrap steel will go down. So the value of a vessel that will be offered for recycling will go down over the next few years, and we'll have a lot of ships being offered. So overall, this is something that the ship-owning community should have in mind, that the value of their ships, as well as residual value is concerned, will not be as it has been over the past few years, where we have seen abnormal volatility of prices, but as well as all-time highs regarding prices of scrap steel and hence value of ships. Just to give you an idea, historically the price of scrap steel, and that the prices that are quoted there, and you will be able to see them better on the slides that will be handed out to you. Historically, the range where steel scrap prices have been trading were between 300 and 350 dollars per ton. Today we are at 380. That's international price for scrap steel. So we are still above the long-term mean, but far below the peak of 650 that we reached during the onset of the war in Ukraine. And we expect that due to economic reasons, but more so now with the political tensions and the war in the Middle East, there will be further pressure on steel scrap price. And although the region is neither the prime producer of steel nor the prime importer of scrap steel, still the significance of the region in a variety of respects will have a negative impact on scrap prices. And just to give you an example for Turkey, Turkey is the biggest exporter of steel rebar into Israel. That activity will go down. So naturally, the Turkish steel production will be affected. The demand for raw materials for Turkey will go down. Hence, there will be a pressure on steel scrap. And one thing to note is that Turkey is actually the market maker, in a sense, for scrap steel worldwide, because it is the biggest importer of scrap steel in the world. So Turkey imports more scrap than, let's say, China or India. Hence, the behavior of the Turkish steel scrap import market will have a big bearing on pricing. And what has been saving the day so far is actually the demand from India. So India, which has a very big steel producing capacity and is using both iron ore and scrap into the mix, has actually gone into the market during the past 2 years. These are the figures from 2022, and again, I'll read them to you if you cannot see the numbers. But basically, India has come in and filled the void that Turkey and other scrap importing countries have created, increasing the import of scrap from the US by about 200% compared to the previous year, increasing the demand or import of scrap from Europe by 156%, and US and EU are the biggest exporters. So now the market has actually found the support at the levels we saw before. I'll just go back very quickly. You'll see the plateauing prices on the top graph at around 380, and that is primarily happening due to India. Whether that will remain is unknown. However, what is now starting to be reported in the news is that there is a slowdown in the rate of increase of demand of scrap steel from India as well. So if that support is removed from the market, then the expectation is for a rapid correction in scrap prices, which again would not be strange, given that today we are still trading above the long-term mean of steel scrap prices, even given the fact that we are in an economic contraction or nearing an economic contraction period. So that's it for me. So in a nutshell, difficult year for Turkey, as well as, I guess, for the rest of the recycling industry. We expect a lot of ships to come up because we are at the end of the cycle, so ships will die. So if you are, patient enough, they will come to you. I know that's not a good thought, but that's life. And the note for the owners is that their ships will most likely not have the value they were seeing as a residual value, which again, a scrap value they were seeing or calculating over the past few years. It will be lower. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimitri, for that view from Turkey. And now from the view from India, may I introduce Harish Parmar, the Honourable Secretary of the Ship Recycling Industries Association of India. Harish, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thanks a lot to TradeWinds events to express our thoughts over here from Indian ship recycling industries. Here I'm presenting my along ship recycling industries to strength, achievement, and challenges in this trend. It's not working. It's not working.
This is the way one, the green one.
Yeah, that's it.
This is where? This is the next one.
Yeah, this is, in this slide, I'm just giving you a strength of our Indian ship recycling industries. You can see total 126 yards have been achieved SOC in this up to till today. Out of them, 51 is class NK, 50 of RENA, 15 IR, BV4 and Lloyd 6. Total 126 yards have been achieved. 20 are yards in progress. So I can say 90% of our Indian yards are compliant with the SOC certification. All facilities are approved, mandatory SRPF and SSDP for each ships. IHM are prepared by expert with master of the ship when not available from the owner side. Development infrastructure and procedure for effective compliance of HKC. Adopted modern equipment technologies for the safety and environment protection. We are always improving our safety and environment protection day by day. Compulsory training for all workers, and we are always welcome all our classification society suggestion for as far as the training of workers and specialized training by expert is concerned. Developed SOP for regular and critical operations. Once something is to happen, we are going through it with our government authorities as well as the classification society and try to achieve how that incidents happen, and we'll work on that. Rigorously supervision at all stages, daily toolbook talks, weekly safety meetings. This is our daily workbook. As far as if we're talking about the achievement, regularly ensures permit and reporting all incidents, including accidents, adequate portion of impermeable flooring, equipment drainage system as far as the all classification society needed, either is a smaller size or bigger size, machineries resulting stopping, minimize of leakage into intertidal zone. Develop mass awareness among all workers for safety environment by audio-visual training. Sustainable approach, mindset for continuous improvement. We are doing continuously improvement. We have started from 2016 until today. Every day we are improving our yard as training for the safety and environment is concerned. Capable to recycling all ship from wet to dry cargo to cruise. Mandatory insurance coverage to all. We are not entering any labor without their insurance coverage either by ESIC or Provident Fund or other benefits. Multi-speciality hospital, we have started in March 2019, operated by Red Cross and GMB and Shriya. Upgradation to fulfill remaining facility, that is trauma center, and operation theater with full equipment as per the requirement by HKC. Now we are upgrading it is up to EU level. Already work is going on. Labor housing colony phase 1 is under operation from 2018. Other labor housing colony we are planning in the front of the yard with the consultation with local authority and GMB, because our yards have some not a full facility because the constraint of the area of the yard. So we are asking them to give a land in front of the yard to develop the very good housing colony as well as the secondary yard for achieve the safety and environment standards for all the yards. Future project for upgradation with consultation and GMB and other agency like offshore tank cleaning equipment, grass spraying. We are working on that. When the ship is coming to the Bhavnagar anchorage, that is along anchorage, we will provide them a gas cleaning equipment over there, and they can make the gas spray tanker over there. Beach cleaning machines, mobile decontamination unit, and a tank cleaning. Whatever the residue of the oil and waste is there in the tank, double bottom tank, we are tank cleaning on shore. Also, we are developing over at our yard. Upgradation of TSDF side. We have already our TSDF side as per the Hong Kong Convention requirement. But now we are upgrading our TSDF side up to next level to achieve our EU requirement or on any other requirement by the owners as well as the classification society. Challenges. We have lots of challenges in ship recycling, as we know well. Under the supply of ship, no continuity, because you know that Dimitris has shown that there is a decline of ship. Very huge number of ship are not coming over there. Owners are always running behind the top dollars, playing tricks to get the highest price by convenience of flags and everything. Floating workforce, we have always a migrating labor, so difficult to maintain the consistency as far as the terms of quality and compliance is concerned. HKC plots are always struggling because once we achieve the Hong Kong Convention certification by HKC method to cutting non-HKC ship is the biggest challenge nowadays India is facing, because compliance price are fixed, but when the non-HKC ships are coming at that time, we also have to pay the compliance each ship on that. Ad hoc approach and lake enthusiasm by many ship owners, cash buyers to provide IHM ready to recycling certificate. I feel each and every ship owner should give there only one part is remaining for the ship owners, that IHM. Still today we are not guiding all ship with the IHM, so request all owners and cash buyer to send their vessel with the IHM ready. Owners setting own standard, overreaching HKC 2009. Owners are now asking more and more for their go by appearance of facility. Regional regulation of EU SRR, undermining the global convention of HKC by establishing separate standards, because once HKC is now fixed, it will come into force by 2025, then it should be a common platform for all the ship recycling countries concerned. EU effect over HKC, build structure, no falling even clean blocks in intertidal zone, concrete jetty, and huge crane to lift the block directly. That is also a very big challenge for us. NGO platform, they are biased to beaching facility for non-EU facilities. Ship owners most affected because all South Asian countries are depending on the beaching method only. Question of survival, no recovery of investment, because every day we are investing a huge amount in our yard to achieve more and more safety standards, but there is no recovery of the investment because we are not getting the ship from all the owners. Viability at stake, only 25% yards are working at the 50% capacity, whatever we have. So that is a very big problem is there. EU list, requested them to must cover the Indian yards. At the 90% yards are HKC compliance. As I said before, 22 yards had been applied for the EU list, but none of them yard has been still on the EU list from India side. Misinterpretation of HKC 2009 by different ISES member pertaining to impermeable flooring, falling clean blocks, etc. Game of convenience, hypocrisy being played by the many ship owners and other stakeholders. This is the slide which I'm showing the difference between the HKC, EU SRR, and our ship recycling code, which is the mirror effect of HKC 2009. There is a big challenges in this slide. I can see like that the domestic mandatory regulation in our ship recycling code by HKC, that is a global convention of voluntary. While EU SRR, they have EU regional regulation for EU flag and own ship. That is very big challenge for India because regulation by government, not by us. The domestic legislation is on a top in our ship recycling code, while the HKC is a domestic legislation is also top, so we can achieve that. But if the EU SRR is concerned, demand more than domestic regulation as per the European standard, like a Basel Convention, transboundary of the West from one country to another country is a big challenge. So first of all, they have to make their regulation, legislation as per the HKC standard. We feel that our ship recycling code has a control within the factory gate, while HKC is also there control within the factory gate, so we can achieve very easily. While if EU SRR is concerned, there are extended responsibility beyond the factory gate, buyers and other disposals. That is very difficult for each ship recycler to control outside of their gate to control all these facilities. Beaching method is allowed in HKC as well as the SRC is concerned. By European standard, they are not fixed, they are not sure about the beaching. Rest other, that is intertidal zone activity or falling blocks or gravity method, that also be a big challenge. But then also our Indian ship recyclers, those who are appear for the EU list, they are trying to get this all facilities by any way. So that is a big challenge if EU SRR and this HKC is concerned. Future ahead, we support world ship owners and their association, recognized upward by the Indian for voluntary adoption of HKC 2009, as we have capacity demolished 75% of the world volume. We have that much of big capacity. Promote ship owners to send their ships voluntary to HKC yard. Sustainable approach and growth. Shipbuilding yards, repair yards don't use hazardous material and paint to replace at the time of dry docking every 5 years. Voluntary enforcement of HKC 2009. Show you're more able to import. If they are not using the hazardous waste, so we can get less and less hazardous waste. That also the ship owners should take care about that. Assign minimum 3 to 5 year long-term association with selected plot facility, having the desired result and sustainable growth. They have to make some contract with the ship owners as well as by our ship recycler, as they invested a huge amount on that. Intervene to minimum difference with EU, bridge the gap, differences. Support from the international community. Support needed from ship owners. Ship are not diverted to less regulatory yard, non-HKC yard by changing the flags. That is the biggest challenge India is facing now. 500 ship owners, 300 ship recycling yard, 90 HKC Indian yards, only 15 to 20 ship owners are supporting to Indian yards. This is the biggest figure over there. Out of the 5,000 ship owners, only 15 to 20 are sending their vessel in a green yards. Capable to recycle all types of ship, dry and wet cargo, reefer, container, etc. Based among all ship recycling facilities, Southeast Asia, equipped with TSDF site, all required facility and convenience. Over 90% operational yard are HKC 2009 compliance. My conclusion is to send all end-of-life shipping to Alang. We provide best price with quality performance, open to visit all stakeholders to see what change we have made within the last 10 years. Shriya will always recommend and support. Recognize and accept the beaching process as safe and environmentally sound method of ship recycling. Provide IHM along with the ready to recycling certificate. Start now, immediately. Why we are waiting for June 25? Because once it is fixed that HKC will come into the force at June 25. Why we are waiting for that? I think each and every ship should come with the IHM ready. We are service provider. Don't push us to speculation, because it is a very difficult. Many have stopped operation and closed their yard because we are not getting the ship. We have invested, but if we are not getting back the money, we have to close our yard. India is in a crossroad, rewards visualize improvement. Welcome to Break in India. More than 100 yards is there. Shriya humbly requests the EU to recognize the Indian yards as the yard here majority complies to HKC, as it with the Turkey, whether it is referred as a landing. The yard in Turkey are recognized by EU. Therefore, it is also expected and requested that the Indian yards too get the EU nod. This is a few slides, what we have changed and how we are working nowadays with the HKC compliance yard, as well as the yard, those have been applied for the EU certification. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haresh, for that very clear outline of the challenges, and I like the like a phrase, the game of convenience being to sum things up. But of course, all ships should go to a Lang, getting a bit of salesmanship in there as well, which is always welcome, I'm sure. Now, next up, the view from Bangladesh. It's a great pleasure to welcome Mohammed Zul Islam, the Managing Director of PHP Shipbreaking. Mohammed.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to TradeWinds for inviting me, like every year, to speak today. I think this is the biggest ship recycling forum in the world. I see many known faces. Good to see you all. I'd like to start with the biggest news of the year, that Bangladesh has ratified Hong Kong Convention. So after 14 years of hard work, finally, Bangladesh has ratified, and by doing that, all the requirements of all the criteria of Hong Kong Convention is met. And this is when the Bangladesh High Commissioner to London handed over the instrument to IMO Secretary General. So this is, I think, a huge year, and in next 2 years' time, all the yards has to be Hong Kong Convention compliant if they want to recycle ships. The screen is quite interesting this time, so please bear with us. In this slide, we have shown that from 2015, Bangladesh has been recycling the most quantity from 2015. And the second position has always been India, followed by Pakistan and Turkey. So it shows that around 45% of world tonnage is recycled in Bangladesh. So it was very important for us that Bangladesh also shows the way that we can do responsible and sustainable ship recycling as well. Today in the room, we have representation from Ministry of Industries. We have our Additional Secretary, Mr. Amin, Joint Secretary, Ms. Afroz, and Deputy Secretary, Mr. Islam. Three of them came all the way from Bangladesh, and it shows that how committed Bangladesh is towards responsible ship recycling. Now, Bangladesh has been working on Hong Kong Convention for last almost 10 years, and Bangladesh Ship Recycling Act was passed by the Parliament in 2018, and it covers all the important features of ship recycling that is required under Hong Kong Convention. So the act itself is kind of a copy of Hong Kong Convention regulations. And one very interesting aspect of the act is that there will be a ship recycling board, like the Gujarat Maritime Board, where all the important personnel that looks after ship recycling will work under that board, and ship recyclers can go for all the permissions to that board only. Now we need to go to 10 or 15 different ministries to take permission to bring a ship. Then again, we need to take 10 or 15 permissions to start cutting off a ship. So this will make life a lot easier for the recyclers, and also the board will be able to check the quality of the recycling. I think that's very important for Bangladesh. The driving force for improvement in Bangladesh, I think the Norwegian embassy, the Norwegian government played a very strong role. So the Sensrec project that was introduced by Norway around 10 years back, I think that changed the mindset of the ship recyclers in Bangladesh, also the regulators. So today, the last 3 years, one person who really fought and put pressure on the regulators and ship recyclers was the Norwegian ambassador to Bangladesh. And I'm very honored that the ambassador is here with us today. If he can stand for all of you to see, and I need a big round of applause. This person was single-handedly made sure that Bangladesh ratifies Hong Kong Convention. So it's a great honor for us to have him here as well. And tomorrow he will have a presentation. I hope it will be an interesting one also. So the SenseCheck project has been working to make sure there is a bridge between the regulators and the ship recyclers, because there are a lot of communication gaps and a lot of mistrust that were prevailing previously. So the SenseCheck project made sure that the regulators and all the major stakeholders sit together, understand each other's role, and support each other to make sure that we can go up to the level of Hong Kong Convention. So I'm really proud to be part of this SenseCheck project. For last 10 years, I've been with the project as well, and it has brought tremendous benefit to the industry. Now, one major issue that we have in Bangladesh is the treatment, storage, and disposal facility. So the TSDF, our Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, was in Japan in April, and she signed a memorandum of cooperation, MOC, with the Japanese government that JICA, JICA will provide a fund to set up TSDF. I think that will be fantastic because we get a lot of questions about the quality of the facilities we have. So if we have a Japanese standard TSDF, I think everyone will be happy with the quality that it gives. Now, we talk about that Bangladesh has only 4 HKC approved yard. But I would like to highlight one thing, that the 4 yards that are HKC compliant, PHP, SN Corporation Unit 2, then Kabir Steel and KR Ship Recycling, the plots are really big in Bangladesh. And if you look at the screen, that each yard can bring 4 cape sizes at a time, minimum. So 4 cape here, 4 here, 8, then here 4, 12, and then this yard can bring 3. So this 4 yard itself at a time can bring 15 vessels. And if another 20 or 30 comes on board, I think we don't have to worry about responsible ship recycling in Bangladesh. So that's a great thing to see, because other countries, the plots are small, and each yard can bring only 1 vessel, whereas we can bring more than 4 or 5 vessels at a time. Now, under our association, we have a training institute where we are providing training to all the workers that come for working in this sector, and we provide the training from the association free of cost. And another very important aspect of ship recycling in Bangladesh is that we have a 200-bed hospital which was built by the Ship Recyclers Fund and operated by Ship Recyclers Fund, and it can be reached within 10 minutes from any yard. So this is a great, I think, example of the commitment of ship recyclers in Bangladesh. You know, Julian was talking about the human rights report, and we see so many reports. But we have to understand one thing is that the reports can be biased. It's not like the reporter took into consideration of all the aspects of ship recycling. So if the reporter is biased, then the reporter will lead the news in a way that it will only criticize the industry. But, to ratify Hong Kong Convention is a big step. The government didn't take that step by only understanding Hong Kong Convention is required. They understood that the ship recyclers are taking steps as well, making meaningful investment, and also changing the way they do recycling. So before you make a judgment by reading one report, I think it's very important that you look at the other side as well. So the next slide, I will show a documentary. This was made from our association. Here, all the 4 yards that are HKC compliant are highlighted, but also the yards that are upcoming and doing the investment are being shown as well. So I hope you'll enjoy the documentary. It's a short 3 minutes one. Let's see. Thank you very much. Let us not just believe everything we read from bias reports. Let us visit the yards. Most of the ship owners now sending their representative. I think that is very important. And I would like to welcome you all to send your vessels to Bangladesh, which will be recycled in an environmental and sustainable way. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mohammed, for those very powerful words and pictures. Now, to wrap up this section, it's a pleasure to welcome, giving the view from Pakistan, Asif Khan, the Secretary General of the Pakistan Shipbreakers Association.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I wish to extend our thanks to the TradeWinds for organizing such a great event. That's really great. While some of us here may be attending first or second time, I want to just mention that I'm attending TradeWinds for last more than 10 years. In fact, I only missed 2 events, I was there in almost all of them. Today is the day of joy and celebration for all of us, because HKC is a big achievement for the ship recycling industry, and it's going to change the world altogether. We all would now follow one international standard of highest sustainable standard on safety, human health, and the environment. Before moving further, I would like to extend thanks to Dr. Nikos Mikalis. I don't see him here today, but Dr. Mikalis was the one guy who undoubtedly put great efforts in making up our minds towards HKC. I would also like to extend thanks to NGOs with their negative comments. Always, they made us, kind of realize what we are doing wrong and what we should be doing. Coming to the topics now, recyclers' perspective and getting ready for the 2020-25. Where does Pakistan stand today? Pakistan is ready in all respect, and we shall fully comply with the Hong Kong Convention within the available time frame. Unfortunately, we lost considerable time sorting out various internal issues. Now, with the help of the federal and provincial government, many of such issues are already addressed and remaining being under finalization, which will be resolved in the near days or months. Ship recyclers at Gadani are very excited and have taken up the challenge to cover for the lost time. In fact, in spite of various technical and financial hardships, Pakistani ship recyclers and the government have decided to complete everything within the shortest span of time, and we shall all be ready to proceed with the HKC compliance within the available time by 2025. There are, talking about challenges, there are many challenges, and the biggest is fighting with the time. However, I highlight few of them. Challenges on the yards and the industry. We are well aware, we are fully equipped and well aware of the challenges we are going to face on our yards to organize things in a better or more efficient way. And 15 of our major recyclers, who represents more than 60% of the Gadani ship recycling yards and the tonnage handling, has recently signed up with a very well-known, experienced, reputed European consultant, together with the local support team provided by GEMS, and to guide, help, and prepare our yards on war footing as required under the HKC and beyond. I'm pleased to mention that many of our yards are already completed and implemented several required tasks over a period of time as directed by our local, federal, and provincial government authorities, which are also expected out to be complied under the HKC, except that, yes, we still need to do impermeable flooring, on which the work is progressing in the planning stage, and we will complete it within the time. All our yards are ISO certified, 9, 18, 14,000, 30,000. Our challenge beyond the yard is the treatment, storage, and disposal facility, TSDF. We have the disposal facilities, TSDF, but that is far from Gadani. Now, we are presently working, our federal and Ministry of Climate Change, together with the Balochistan Government Authority, is currently working to set up a TSDA facility close to Gadani. In this connection, land has already made available, and we will be soon start to work on it. This will greatly reduce the carbon footprints on transport of the hazmats. Since it's a huge project, doors are being knocked. Doors are being knocked for further funding from local and international donors. Availing this opportunity, I wish to request the people from the member states, donor agencies, and other stakeholders to come forward and help us save the environment. Circular economy. Ship recycling contributes greatly to the circular economy and sustainable resource management. We firmly believe our enhanced production of steel recyclable material shall greatly benefit the steel sector industries, not only the steel sectors locally, but also the steel producers abroad. We welcome all inquiries and interest from all who require quality steel scrap recyclable material from Gadani. Our existing production capacity is in Gadani is 3 million tons of light ship per annum. However, with Balochistan Development Authority developing and introducing new yards which are under process, we will soon have a capacity to handle more than 5 million tons of light ship per annum. This will be much above our local requirement, and thus we will have a sizable surplus recycled metal for export. We anticipate the steel producers using iron ore shall start to use steel scrap or recyclable material from ship recycling to greatly reduce their carbon footprints. From shipbreaking at Gadani, more than 95% of the material yields is recycled or reused. Financial challenges. Pakistan is currently going through severe economic challenges. During current year, we face shortage of foreign exchange, and the banks stopped providing LC facilities to many of the imports in the country, including the ships for recycling, resulting in negligible ship imports at Gadani during first 7-8 months of the current year. However, things are now beginning to change, getting better, and recently the banks have started giving the LCs, so we surely and sincerely hope this situation will further improve in the days ahead. It looks the financial phase is getting over, and we are looking ahead to the bright future of ship recycling in Pakistan. Getting ready for 2025 strategies. Compliance of HKC. The ship recyclers at Gadani are taking all necessary measures and action to ensure absolute compliance with all the environmentally friendly practices as required under the Hong Kong Convention. We are not going to stop at the HKC. We plan to move with the EU SSR as well in the course of time. Our beaches is Gadani, is our beach at Gadani is different than our neighbors in the subcontinent. We are not beaching, we are landing, just like Turkey. We have a much lower tidal range and do not need high tides at all for beaching. Training and skill development. We have requested IMO to help us with the capacity building. Locally, the PSBA continuously working on training. Oh, come on. The PSBA is continuously working on training and training the workforce to handle new technologies and methodologies. Talking about the training, I wish to like to add and extend thanks to GMS Group, who had been conducting complimentary safety trainings for the laborers at Gadani under their Sustainable Ship Recycling Program. At this forum, I would also like to invite other cash buyers to please come forward and play your due role at Gadani. PSBA welcomes anyone and everyone who wants to provide an helping hand in this respect. Partnerships and collaborations, we sincerely believe and invite all cash buyers, ship owning groups and associations, government bodies, classification, and environmental organizations to partner with us towards responsible recycling. Investment in infrastructure. Pakistani ship recyclers, using their own available resources, are ready to invest substantially in further uplifting and developing advanced infrastructure and machinery to meet the demand of the modern ship recycling. We also welcome any possible joint ventures between our Pakistani recyclers and major ship-owning groups and member states for safe and environmentally sound recycling of ships at Gadani. Moving forward. At Gadani, we lost considerable time in waiting, and that's why we are like behind India and Bangladesh. However, the reasons were many, which I don't feel it's any more relevant to mention here. We are now all set to do whatever required to be done to ensure safe and sustainable ship recycling. We are not stopping only on the HKC, but we shall move further ahead to comply with all other necessary conventions dealing with various aspects with hazmat, safety and environments, including EU SSR. Finally, and yet once again, we invite all, including IMO, Ship Owners Association, IMO member state, academia, cash buyers, and every single entity in the audience here who can possibly help and collaborate or support us or suggest anything for improvement and safety of human health and environment. Thank you. That's all from our side.
Thank you, Asaf, for that. Again, inspiring short presentation of what's going on in Pakistan and your aspirations for the future. You know, as a journalist, even in the humble, rather introverted world of shipping, I'm paid to be a skeptic, not a cynic, but a skeptic. Yeah. So you're paid to ask awkward questions of people. Yeah. Highlight things that make people feel uncomfortable. But the change that we just heard about in the last hour compared with where we were 10, 12 years ago is quite spectacular. I think everyone would need to agree that. But there are challenges. Just because shipyards are increasingly environmentally safe and safe for workers, that doesn't mean the commercial elements are none less competitive. In fact, probably more so, because there's more investment risk on the table. Money does need to be made. So to look at some of these issues and to discuss some of the questions that have been raised, we've now got a panel discussion till about 10 to 4. And so if I could invite to the stage again Dimitri from Turkey, Harish Parmar from India, Mohammed again from PHP and the Bangladesh Shipbroking Association, and they're joined also by, from Pakistan, Farooq Pujwani, the Director of Prime Shipbreakers, Walton Pantland from the Industrial Global Union, and Rubal Bansal, the Chairman of the Bansal Group. So, gentlemen, it is all gentlemen, I'm afraid, if you take your seats, roughly where the pictures are. And to act as your moderator for this session, it's my pleasure to introduce Junichi Hirata, the General Manager for Innovation, Sustainability, Transportation and Logistics Department in Class NK, the Japanese Classification Society. Junichi.
Good show, right? Thank you. Now we have a lot of strength.
Yeah, you do. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
Julian, thank you. I'm Junichi Hirata. So I'm in the certification body from Class NK. So actually, I started this work since 1999. I'm one of the drafter of this convention and also guidelines. So today, I'm very happy to celebrate for the ratification of the convention from the Bangladesh, and also convention comes into force another 2 years. Thank you. So today, I want to focus on the what we have to do, because until the last year, just I always screaming, convention comes into force, convention comes into force, and also convention comes into force another 2 years. Today, this time, Julian asked me to have a moderator. I really think what I have to talk this time. So, but fortunately, so this time, I really thank you for the my colleagues here, and also some governments here to ratify it. And also, I'm very happy to have a moderator in this celebrity situation. So today, I want to talk about we have to prepare what in these 2 years and in future. So first of all, to the Walton, is okay? So because he doesn't have any presentation from the industry all, but their role is very important during this 20 years. So Walton, please introduce the actions industry all took past briefly, and before the Hong Kong Convention comes into force, what are you going to do as a industry all in recycling yards? Thank you.
Thank you, Junichi-san. So for those of you who are not familiar with our organization, we're a global union federation that represents 50 million workers around the world, including workers in the shipbreaking industry in South Asia. And we've been involved in trying to improve the shipbreaking industry for some time. And when we started working in the industry, a shipbreaking worker's life was worth almost nothing. And so we've been working both to establish trade unions in the yards and to build up the strength and the social status of those trade unions as stakeholders in the industry. And we've also been very early supporters of the Hong Kong Convention, because the primary problem in the shipbreaking yards has been a safety one. I mean, you know the picture, you know what the industry is like, you know how dangerous it is. And in addition to the accidents and deaths you see, there's also a problem of occupational illness, of migrant workers who come and work in the shipyards for a few seasons, pick up an occupational illness, go back to their villages, and then we never even hear from them again. There's not even proper research on what's happened. So we were early supporters of the Hong Kong Convention. We are very, very happy now that the convention is coming into force. And our argument is that right now there's a lot of work being done to upgrade the physical infrastructure to improve the shipyards. We need to also focus on building up the social infrastructure to challenge the balance of power in the shipyards. We need trade unions to be recognized as social partners. Workers need to have an independent voice, and they need to be involved in health and safety, but they also need to be able to negotiate on terms and conditions, wages, and other conditions of employment.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, also this kind of improving of working environment is very important in the future. So I want to request all the yards from the Dimitri before the Hong Kong Convention comes into force, because this question is very difficult for you because all the people is already complied to the Hong Kong Convention, but also as an association, what kind of investment or preparation the ship recycling yard will take or must take before the Hong Kong Convention comes into force? Dimitri, please.
Sure. Thank you, Hirata-san. Within countries as well as across countries, there are different levels of investment already implemented. And as Walton very rightly pointed out, I think we, in general, recyclers, have quite a good understanding of where we need to go with respect to investments on the or infrastructure upgrades with respect to the actual dismantling of ships. Social facilities is one thing that Walton is very keen on promoting, and rightly so, because there we see even bigger differences and abnormalities, again, across countries, but even within countries among the various yards. Where I would put an additional focus on would be the actual operation of the yard on a day-to-day basis. And what we are seeing as a facility, or from reading the news or talking with other yards or seeing how other yards are operating, is that all days are not the same with respect to how you implement your policies and procedures. So there are good days and there are bad days, which is a normal thing, but there shouldn't be good days and bad days with respect to who's coming and who's not coming, how visible your operation is, and why not. So every day you should put your good suit on and try your best and hope for a good day, and not just hope, but make sure that whatever is a best practice is implemented. Because again, we are seeing as a matter of practice that a business as usual among the yards is not the same day in, day out. So my focus, being a yard manager, is not so much on the infrastructure, which is common knowledge, I think, among yards, but more on making sure that, you know, from all the way from the top of the pyramid down to the last piece of the puzzle, things happen the same way at the yard, day in, day out.
Thank you. Great. Hanashi-san, actually, India is really led of the convention because I went to the India 2010 to certify it. From this, only the Class NK already 50 years certified by Hong Kong Convention. So in this view, so please ask another things of these 2 years, what the yards have to prepare or association have to prepare. Halash.
Yeah, you know well that India has been adopted the Hong Kong Convention voluntary by 2016. And each of our yard has been invest a huge amount into their yards before from 2016 to till today. As far as the investment is concerned, last 2 years, or I can say like that, it's every day is going on. Whatever the investment is needed for as far as the safety and environment is concerned, India is always welcome everyone to come over there, and we are investing a huge amount every day for safety and environment is concerned. So for India, to last 2 years or from last 8 years is not much more concerned, but we are investing an amount for every day in our yard to make safety and environment best in the world.
Thank you. So Zahir-san, I really appreciate the Bangladesh government to ratify it. You are now the hero of this convention, actually. I really appreciate it. And also, we are really support of the upgrading of the ODS. In this view, so you are the first one in the Bangladesh PHP. So what you from the view, what in the Bangladesh, what you have to prepare, what the Bangladesh have to prepare in these 2 years?
Actually, if you look at Bangladesh, I think initially there was a denial, like whether maybe we were in a position like what Pakistan is today, maybe 5 years back. But in last 3 to 4 years, I think the important role was played by the Ministry of Industries, the government of Bangladesh. They understood the importance of Hong Kong Convention with various stakeholder meetings with the Norwegian Ship Owners Association, Japanese Ship Owners Association, and they formulated the Ship Recycling Act based on Hong Kong Convention. So after that, what we have seen that most of the ship recyclers are now open to go for the development, and as you have seen in the video that some of the yards are already developed and waiting for Class NK to audit, and there will be within 2 years time, I think most of the yards will be developed, and it's a good sign. But the problem in Bangladesh is that the plot sizes are so big that if around $3 million is required to develop a yard in India, it will require $7 million in Bangladesh. So there will still be challenges for the smaller yards. I think we are working with our government to talk with donor partners where they can give long-term development investment loan. So I think that will ease the pressure on the ship recyclers. I think overall we have a great momentum right now in Bangladesh. We saw that momentum in India in 2015. So 2015-16 we saw that India embraced Hong Kong Convention. And similarly, I see that Bangladesh is doing the same now, and I think 2 years will be a good time frame for many of the yards to be in line with Hong Kong Convention.
Thank you. Yeah, very good idea. And Farooq, actually, your situation is a bit different because unfortunately now in Pakistan there is no yard is certified by the classification society. So what you want or what you have to do in these 2 years?
Yeah, true that we are the only country who doesn't have any HKC yard, but it just gives the impression that we are not doing anything or we have not done anything. It's not like that. Actually, we were the first one who took the services of Henning, but due to our internal issues, we couldn't continue. It was back in 2014. In fact, most of the yard owners have paid Henning. That money is gone for us, but again we have got his services again because now we know that 2025 is our deadline and we have to be HKC certified. But in these past 5-6 years, and after that unfortunate incident happened in 2016, it actually was turned out, it was actually blessing in disguise, you can say that. It has opened the eyes of the many breakers, many recyclers in Pakistan. So how to initiate this, we decided that initially we're going to invest a lot in the training session of our workers, of our labor, because most of the laborers, they are not educated. It was very tough from our part to convince them because they have been following something for last 40 years, then all of a sudden we are telling them like not to do like this and do like this, you know. So it was an easy task for us. So it took us like some 3-4 years. We have invested huge amount in the training session of our laborers, and now finally for last 1 year we are not facing that problem. So alhamdulillah, labor wise they are now educated. They also know the importance of HKC. They know that if we are not HKC certified by 2025, there will be no bread and butter for any of us, neither for the recycler, owner, or the people attached to the yard, you know. So we have built a hospital that it's a small hospital. It's not as big as Mr. Zahir. He's a big guy, billionaire. It will take us some time to be there, but we will inshallah get there too. It's a small hospital. It's a 20-bed hospital that association has made from its own fund. Yards, on their part, they have done everything from their own sources. We have not got any kind of fund from any of the department. And there were some internal issues also, but now the government, the provincial government, the federal government, they have also realized the importance of HKC. So in past 2-3 months, there have been some activities, some active activities, and even the government is now on board, as my colleague before this said, that They have allotted a TSDF facility, 27 acres. They have given that land to us. That's actually one of the steps. Plus, we have recently signed an agreement with Mr. Henning, the GSR, as a foreign consultant, and then we have a local consultant, GEMS, to, I think 15 of the recyclers have signed that. So we are very much hopeful that by 2025, inshallah, we all will be HKC certified too. We know the importance and we will be there too, inshallah.
Thank you. Very good. Actually, there's one good news because IMO arranges a seminar to all the Pakistanians, and also Class NK and also Henning is invited to go to Pakistan to have a seminar. So I really wish the Pakistan also or the CPR is going to fulfill the regulation of the Hong Kong Convention.
I just would like to add one thing, that majority of the yards are already ISO 30,000 from Bureau Veritas. So, I mean, it can tell that we are already somewhat compliant, not as compliant as HKC, the requirement of HKC, but even for 30,000, you have to achieve you have to do something to get the certificate, to get the 30,000, you know. So yards have already invested a lot in the yard. The recyclers have already invested a lot in the yard. So hopefully it wouldn't be as tough. It wouldn't be as difficult for us to get the HKC because we have done the majority of the part. I think there is 30-40% is left, which will be done in next 2 years, inshallah.
Farooq, thank you very much, because
Thank
this
you.
is quite good point, because this Hong Kong Convention is a bit different from the other regulations of the IMO. This one is really focused on the management. This is very important. Once the yards is come into the Hong Kong Convention, so they really, manage the yard itself. This is quite a good point, so thank you. So, Mr. Bansal, actually, you are a very good client of the Class NK. So, also, is there any comment on these 2 years, what you want to do or encourage other yards to do? Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. And according to me, many of our yards are already HKC compliance in India. So, but then also we need to invest every day and we need to put our effort to train our laborers, develop our infrastructures, management systems, and our tough role is that to train the labor is the key role to get the HKC come into force, because the training of the labor is as Ms. told from Pakistan, that the laborers are addicted from last 40 years, that what they were doing but we have changed their minds and now they are coming into practice that we need to follow it.
Thank you.
So that's,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much. So just now I'm asking on what investment or improving points of each years, and also regarding from the eyes of the industry all. So at the moment, just we have bit time, so just I want to ask the floor to have a question, 1 or 2. Is there anybody? Please. Please, you.
Hi, I am Dharmesh Jani from Intellex. We have a big team here. We have a good moderator here. I have certain basic things or statement I want to give. It may be a question. As everybody is talking about the HKC certification, but the simple question, once the Hong Kong Convention is in force, whether HKC certification is a requirement, whether Hong Kong Convention specify anything that yard should be certified for HKC, first thing. Second thing, all the team members can also tell that after the Hong Kong Convention in force, who will be the competent agency from their respective country. Second thing, once we go after this conference, everybody, I think few maybe agree with me that very few people have a clear idea about the Hong Kong Convention. Once it will be in force, what will be the system for the ship recycler has to follow? What will be the system competent authority has to follow? And what will be the system flag state or ship owner has to follow? Like
Difficult question.
IHM, who will issue IHM? Who will approve? IRC, International Ready for Recycling Certificate, who will provide? Okay, like that way, there are many questions related to Hong Kong Convention in the mind of ship recycler. So better to have some discussion on this ground, so all people will be clear that after 2025, what will be the scenario. Thank you.
So thank you. This is really difficult question for all the people. But first of all, just I want to ask. Maybe Walton is really different. So just from the Dimitri. So Hong Kong Convention is really the mandate, become mandate. This is quite important. So also myself including, because I'm a certification body. So in future, what is the regulatory body of this Hong Kong Convention? So and what you want next? So from the Dimitri, please answer this question.
Okay. So in Turkey, the competent authority with respect to the IMO Hong Kong Convention is the Ministry of Transportation. So that would be the relevant competent authority. Now, how the process of getting a ship recycling under the IMO Hong Kong Convention would be, I think the EU ship recycling regulation gives us a very good roadmap. The two, as far as the practicalities of getting a ship recycling in a compliant way, are basically identical, because the EU ship recycling regulation copied the process of the IMO Hong Kong Convention. So there are differences with respect to checking whether a yard is compliant or not. There are differences with respect to downstream waste management, but as far as a particular ship going for recycling, the process, as I understanding, is that the ship itself will be certified by way of a ready for recycling certificate. So you have the ship with an IHM, the IHM certified by class. You have a facility which is approved by the competent authorities of the state. So if you have an IHM certified ship and you have a ship recycling facility licensed by the competent authorities of the state it is located in, for instance a facility in Bangladesh or in India by the respective facilities, then the classification society of the ship would review the documents and issue the ready for recycling certificate. So it's actually a ship which will be certified for going for recycling in accordance with the Hong Kong Convention, and the facilities will actually be licensed on an ongoing basis by the respective state competent authorities.
Thank you very much. So, Halesh, is there any comments?
Yeah, I think so. There is everything is written down in this convention that classification society, they will give the ready to IHM, they will give the green passport for the hazardous waste. And my slide also I showed that the regulatory body will be the government only, wherever the ship is sent for the HKC yards. So as far as the legislation is concerned, the local government body is the final authority for that. That's why it's a common platform, HKC. Why we are going after the HKC? Because it's a common platform. The local regulatory is controlling each and every ship recycling yard, not for the outside of the country or something like. So this is, everything is in line with, like some ship is running in the international water. The classification society gives us them a certificate for all their certified copy for running in the water or something. Same way, they will give the certification for IHM, and the regulatory body will control the all process of the ship recycling, and government body will look after the law and safety and environment measurement. So I don't feel so is there any issue for that.
So I think then the class will be out of business in issuing statement of compliance, because if the regulatory body is the competent authority, then do you think it will not be necessary to have certifications from the class as well? because there are some ship owners who will want more than HKC. So there will always be some ship owners who has their own standards. So those ship owners will definitely require more than what the competent authority is issuing. For example, nowadays we are working with some ship owners from Japan, and they have their own standard. And they are also sending their representative to be at site 9 to 5 to see how we take out every block of the ship. So those owners will still be there. So there will still be requirement, even though the competent authority will take care of maximum of the yards that will be in operation, but there will still be a market for the class to issue certification that will be required by some ship owners. That's what I believe. Because then there will be some ship owners who wants beyond HKC, a little bit more what the HKC specifies. I think there will be some owners would be still interested in those.
Thank you. Farooq, first.
Well, actually, I would like to bypass this question because I'm not a HKC certified yard as yet, so.
Good one.
So, I mean, once I'm HKC certified yard, then inshallah I'll come up with the more proper answer,
Okay. So answer, please.
As Mr. Mohammed told, that the classification society role would be the minimized role, because the government competent authority would be the leader to that the yard is following or not following, or what are the standards to be followed. They will be the authority to classify and to take care about that, basically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time, but as Ahir makes a good point, so I would like just to expand on it for the sake of our audience. So I fully agree that the service of a statement of compliance for the Hong Kong Convention will no longer be needed. So in that respect, classification societies will not have a role, because they basically substituted the competent authority of the individual states in the interim between the adoption of the Hong Kong Convention until the entry into force. So now the individual states will say whether a yard is compliant. So classification societies will no longer have a role there. Now, what Zahir said with this example with Japanese owners are quite unique. The state, the owners, and the classification societies are integrated in this very interesting mesh. But for other ship owners, I think the involvement of third-party supervision companies will become more and more important, taking on the role of checking whether the yards have these additional, let's say, standards or requirements that an owner may require. So in that respect, apart from Japanese owners, I expect that other owners would utilize third-party supervision companies rather than a classification society to do that, with a classification society doing its role under the authority of the flag administrations to issue, to go through the process of the surveys to issue the ready for recycling certificate.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, just more, because I think this issue is very difficult for me. More than the moderator, because I'm a classification society. So, but actually, first of all, Japanese ship owner also now the big change. Yeah, because they utilize third parties, the audit also. And also, regarding the classification society, we are thinking about for the industry, what the industry is, the facilitation of the certification. This is very important, not only the yards, but also ship owners. We have to think about that. So in this case, thank you very much for all the panel to give me a good idea for the next step. Thank you very much. So, and return to my issues. So, to the Walton, do you think what kind of the invest must be done in the recycling yards near future from the perspective of improving the working environment?
Okay, so I see the Hong Kong Convention as a catalyst which is going to transform the nature of the industry. So the way it has been up until now has been labor intensive, dangerous, and using a lot of migrant labor, and a lot of it fairly low skilled. And it's now, I think a lot of the yard owners who are upgrading their yards to become Hong Kong compliant are also mechanizing. They're professionalizing the way they operate. And I think what is going to happen over the next few years is that the nature of work in the industry will change. It will become, I think higher skill levels will be required. Certainly better health and safety training and many other technical skills will be required. And what we hope happens at the same time is that the jobs become better paid, that they become more permanent, and that we're able to establish quality jobs that people can rely on for the future. Because as you all know, one of the issues with the industry is its cyclical nature, and this affects the yard owners as well as the workers. And it's one of the reasons it uses this migrant labor system, where suddenly there's a lot of work, a lot of workers are pulled into the industry, then the industry dries up and everyone goes back. So we would like, generally speaking, the investment to lead to a more sustainable industry, something which is more predictable, and we'd like to see better quality jobs created. We know that this is a process. It's a process that needs to be calibrated quite carefully, because there are so many different considerations that need to be taken into account, including the economic environment. And this is why we use the language of just transition. So the idea of just transition is that as an industry goes through a change to improve, particularly one related to environmental management, that process is just for everyone involved, including the workers and the community.
Thank you. Very good point of view. Actually, now I want to request to all the yards to answer my question, because before some presentation, some yards is try to comply the EU SRR, but India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, no yards are certified with the EU SRR. So during this situation, what the next step? Because from the floor, the question is some upgrading to show is very important. So what is the next step of the, so there is a platform of the Hong Kong Convention, and upgrading more from the Hong Kong Convention. What is your opinion, Dimitri?
Okay. Well, the way I see, there are basically three pillars to infrastructure. There is the infrastructure to dismantle the ship, including your impermeable floor, your drainage, your cranes, all the equipment you provide to the workers. There's the social aspect, to support the workers during the operations as well as after the operations are completed. And then there's the downstream waste management part of it. Again, there are different levels of evolution across the ship recycling countries. For example, in Turkey, we have smaller workforce, and the people we employ do not stay at the yard. So the requirements as far as to the extent of the social facilities we need, like hotel facilities or dormitories, is not there. I would say that from looking at this division between Hong Kong Convention and the EU ship recycling regulation, the big divider is this downstream waste management. So again, for us in Turkey, we have been fortunate to have a very big industry dealing with hazardous waste management completely outside the scope of ship recycling. And what we simply did was approach that industry to also take the waste we were generating. In other countries, the level, let's say, of competence or evolution or the extent or even the availability of the facilities, downstream waste management facilities close to the yards might not be there. So I would say that the priority should be on downstream waste management facilities as well as technical competence, and I see from the presentations before me that this is happening. Focus is there, and money is coming in to support that.
Yeah, thank you. Halesh, including also your presentation, there is some advice on the future. So just
Yeah.
briefly, just you talk.
Yeah, in that, your particular in this question, my answer is something like different way. That's India, you have seen that our 21 yards have been already applied for the EU certification, and out of them, 5 has been, they have visited and they audited that 5 yards, but no one get the certificate or something any on that. As for my knowledge is concerned, we got only one letter from EU SRR that we cannot do at present now because there is some regulation problem as far as this Basel Convention transboundary of the West is concerned. So there is no any more conclusion they have given, only the one simple letter that because of this it can be take a few years. Why? How many years it will take? What is the gap in HKC and EU yards? There is no any clarification on that, because the 21 yards is one more upgraded grade level of the Hong Kong Convention, as you also know well about that. Out of them, one is sitting over here also, Mr. Bansal is there. So India don't know about that, how much we have to invest on that so we can get the EU certification. That is the biggest problem. One more problem what India is facing for the EU SRR is that I heard that there is a 1 or 2 yards in Turkey, they have been they take off their certification without giving any reason. So if we are investing a huge amount of our money into EU SRR certification, and without any reason, if they are terminating the certification, then how the people can rely on that? And once you terminate your EU certification, at that time that ship recycler have a very big problem with the HKC certification also, from local government also. If they are giving some reason why they have been discontinued, then it's okay, they can comply in that. But without giving any reason, and if they're doing the same practice, then it will be very difficult for India. They are now, some ship recyclers are afraid also to go with the EU SRR for investing a huge amount on that.
Okay, thank you. So Zahir,
Yeah,
same question.
my advice to all the ship recyclers is that don't go for EU SRR. Focus on HKC. Make sure that you do the HKC properly. All these years I was told that if HKC comes into force, then there will be a balance between HKC, EU SRR and ban amendment. So we need to focus and channel all our efforts into that to make sure that HKC, supersedes the previous conventions that are in place. So I think from my point of view, I have never tried to reach EU SRR because as their intention is not to give or allow any yards from Indo-Pacific area, then why should I try? Because I know they will say no. So the target is that when we were discussing about HKC ratification, the discussion was that if HKC comes into force, then EU SRR will also merge together and we'll have something of a balance. So I think my main focus is HKC and our efforts are in line with HKC only.
Thank you. So, Farooq?
Yeah, well, as you all know that we are not HKC, but when we were going for ISO certification, and when we were upgrading our yards, and we are putting so much money into the infrastructure, but the main problem we faced was the education of laborers, and because they are the one who are handling the day-to-day business at the yard, for the dismantling of ship. So I think we, from an association platform, we have decided that we need to invest quite a huge amount on the education of our labor, and we have to keep doing the workshop to keep them updated, to keep them basically knowledgeable enough. So they should also know that what is going on in the world. There is a language barrier. There is some, actually they are not as educated. They are not that literate. But this is the main problem we are facing, and I think inshallah by giving them by investing in the workshop, I think we will overcome that problem, and I think that's quite key, because our labor, they should be more educated than us, because they'll be the one who will be dismantling the ship,
Thank you. So, Basal?
according to me, we should focus on HKC, and what we are doing, we should upgrade our standards above HKC. And EU is not on compulsion. According to this, what HKC has been telling, and EU, the difference is between just is lifting of the blocks, and HKC allows the blocks can be fallen into intertidal zone and then can be picked up before the tide comes in. And the difference is EU is recommending that you need to pick up the blocks. You cannot fall the blocks in the intertidal zone. So we should focus to HKC rather focusing on to the EU.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually,
One more thing I would like to add on that.
Just briefly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, before that, there is so many countries still awaiting for, we are waiting for their adopting of HKC. So we must focus on that first. Everybody should adopt the HKC, and it's a common global platform. So everybody should concentrate on that only.
Hales, thank you. Because Hales talked to me regarding my conclusion. Because first of all, we are concentrated Hong Kong Convention, and during this time also we have to figure out what is important for the next to the Hong Kong Convention. Also, EU-SRR is to be considered after the Hong Kong Convention comes into force. I'm really respect European government to rethink again on the EU-SRR. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, panel.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much to the panelists and to Junichi for running that session. Now, before we break for our coffee break, it's my pleasure to introduce a sponsored case study from the KR Group, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mohammed Mahouber Rahman, the HKC consultant from KR Ship Recycling Yard, to give this presentation. So, Mohammed, please.
Good afternoon, all. So I think I am on the stage at bad time because after lunch is post-lunch drowsiness will be there. So I will not take that much time. So basically, the KR Ship Recycling Yard. This is the latest developed yard in Bangladesh. They got the HKC SOC from class NKK, and this is one of the finest yard in Bangladesh. So in brief, I'll try to explain the journey, how we did the journey. So one interesting thing I want to explain, in Bangladesh, the ship recycling facility, it has been declared as an industry. That's why all industrial local laws, these rules, it has been directly implied. So in Bangladesh, along with the HKC MEPC guideline, so industrial all laws, acts, it has been implemented, and they're bound to implement. So it is a good advantage. It is a good advantage for us because we are beyond HKC. So just a few minutes before we are discussing that we are talking about the beyond HKC. So I think Bangladesh is a good platform, and we are heading towards that. We are beyond HKC as we are complying the local industrial all laws and regulations. So some you can see our voyage. First of all, it was a great challenge to shift the paradigm. The ship owners, the workforce, and the migratory workforce, so to convince to work in a good environmental and good workplace, to ensure a good workplace. So please, in northern part of Bangladesh, maximum workforce, they used to come from the northern part of Bangladesh. So after getting the compliance, this now local workforce, they are becoming interested to join in this. So migration workforce it is reducing. So our journey starts from the very scratch, and Bangladesh, it's they have a natural calamity. we have a tidal surge and all. So we are considering all these factors during construction phase. So you'll find all yards, especially the KR ship recycling yard, it has a good advantage that they are, the beach area is a little bit less, so ship is coming very nearer. So considering the natural calamities and wave surge and all, we have developed the yards, and it's not like India and it's not like Pakistan. So we have a big tidal effect in Bangladesh. So you can see some pictures I have shown, this assembly point. So these are just some of the pictures. And we are very happy to announce that recently we have achieved certification SOC from Class NK and Bureau Veritas. Also, this we got ISO 30,000 from IRS class. Our strength. It is a well-designed RAM facility, especially the KR recycling yard. You'll find they have a good RAM facility, same like a jetty. Ship is coming very closer, and with the ramp, some block you can handle with both side crane, you can use both side, and it's a, well-designed, and it is very successfully. Last 2 ships we have done, contactless operation, without touching the ground, each and every block was dismantled. And skilled manpower, yeah, because in-house we have, we have prepared the in-house training modules and annual training plan and all. So now this skill last 3 and 4 years, this manpower became our strength. Because I think in other years also, in-house training facility is so strong, we are not depend on the BSBA Training Institute or other training facilities, but in-house training and facility is really strengthened. And this yard, they have 120K metric ton annual capacity. And another one is, you can see, I described before, that the ship is coming very near to the, the land. So it is a good advantage for this yard. Our hurdles. During our journey, we faced a lot with downstream waste management too. Because if you talk about the downstream waste management, it has to be, the fate of the waste has to be conclusive. So how we are managing? Now there is a question that there is no TSDA, but how we are managing in Bangladesh? And already we are certified. So what we did, we collected around 12 entities in Bangladesh, different entities, where they have the capacity to handle the hazardous waste. So all these, after receiving the IHM or getting out the IHM, we are distributing this hazardous waste to 12 entities, so to handle this hazardous waste in a proper manner. So we are expecting to have a TSDF in near future. So workers migration, this I told before that we face this challenge, but now as this is a compliant yard and the local workforce, they are really interested. It's not, migration rate is it has been reduced. Job-specific training, this is a real hurdle in Bangladesh. Only basic training we can get from BSBR Training Institute or Sensrec, phase 2 project module. But this from foreign training facilities we are investing. We are taking help from some foreigners also. So this is job-specific training. We had a hurdle. Then adaptation of the modernization. So it was a hurdle. Adaptation was a hurdle because we started from the scratch. There was, manual handling and all. So all these years, especially this KR ship recycling year, they acquired the magnetic crane, the crawler cranes, the bulldozers, beach cleaning equipments and all. So it was also big hurdles for this year. A good word from the managing director of KR Recycling. He is welcoming any type of vessel to Bangladesh, to demolish in this finest yard, and we hope we can comply as per your requirements, even if it is beyond HKC. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed, for that. Quite a clear illustration there of the changes and the opportunities we're seeing that we heard from a number of players this morning. Food for thought indeed. Now we're going to have a break for around half an hour. If I could ask everybody to be back at past on the dot, and we can get our final session through, which is the difficult problem of downstream waste management. Never easy. Enjoy your coffee. Thank you.